Welcome back. Sui Chung is the executive director of Americans for Immigrant Justice, one of the oldest groups defending the rights of immigrants in the United States. And she told me her group has been preparing since the day after the election for how to respond to the changes they knew Donald Trump would create.
It is what we were expecting. I think that that was previewed many times in the media, various statements. I think that they were, kind of taking us from the first Trump administration to the present time. I think there was a lot of preparation done. And so I don't think that this was unexpected, but that does not numb the shock and the trauma that's related to the executive orders and the impact that it'll have on so many families.
Talk to me when you say shock and trauma. Give me a better understanding of what you mean by that.
So, for example, the fear that is instilled in the community right now with the undoing of the sensitive locations memorandum that was with the Biden administration. So protections at schools, hospitals, places of worship, courthouses. So, for example, individuals taking their children to and from school or taking their children for medical care, they have to think twice about that and be fearful or rely on other people in order to do those really daily tasks that we take for granted. In addition, with anything related to courthouses, we have a lot of victims who are going forward and helping law enforcement in terms of testifying against perpetrators or abusers, and right now they're not safe to do that. They're going to be perhaps declining to move forward out of fear.
I want to just go back over what you just said, just because I think it's important for us to understand what the sensitive locations memo was. So in essence, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was an understanding that the Biden administration and others had in the past, that in places of worship, for instance, a church, in a hospital, in a school, that ICE officials would not go into those locations, that they were essentially safe places, and would not go in to try to do roundups or arrest people for immigration violations, correct?
That's correct. And, I have to just also mark the fact that it existed during the first Trump administration, where, these locations were still considered places where individuals could go and get care and be safe. So it wasn't done during the first Trump administration. And then, moving forward, Secretary Mayorkas under the Biden administration released yet another memo that superseded the existing one that was from 2011. So the fact that it remained in place for all of these years, the undoing of it right now is quite traumatic, for the community going about their day-to-day tasks, not just day-to-day tasks, but moving forward with emergency situations for themselves, for family members. It really creates a climate of tremendous fear.
Because if I'm undocumented and my child, who may have been born in this country, is suddenly sick and you need to take them to the hospital, you may think twice about taking that child to the hospital because you don't know what may be waiting for you there, or if you're being reported by the hospital to immigration officials and you may be arrested there. Or even just taking a child to school. We talked about this last night a little bit. Do you drop your child off, potentially get picked up in some sort of a raid that ensues? Then what happens to the child when they come out of school that day?
So I think that that's a tremendous concern for so many families. And it's not just those who may be undocumented. It's those who look like, perceived to be immigrants. We're talking about the sensitive locations memo and the undoing of that, but there's also an expansion of a concept called expedited removal. So having to prove that you've been here 2 years or longer is, I'm not sure what that entails besides racial profiling, suspicion of somebody being an immigrant. So forcing individuals to have to prove that they've been present for a certain amount of time, whether it's US citizens, permanent residents, it's a burden. I think that becomes a burden for all of our communities because what does an immigrant look like?
You know, the supporters of President Trump and those who voted for him argue that there is a crisis at the southern border, that immigration is an unrelenting problem here in the United States, and that really what the Trump officials have said is that they will only be going after, or initially be going after, criminals who are in the system, and that's going to be their priority, and not necessarily the folks who are working and earning a living while living in this country.
I don't think that that's fully accurate in terms of the messaging and the preview of who will be targeted under what has consistently been stated as mass deportations. So under the Biden administration, there were priorities that were released and priorities that included violent people who had committed violent crimes, suspected terrorists, individuals who entered recently. So there was a prioritization, and that is a necessary fact that has to happen for ICE to preserve resources, to focus on areas that are prioritized by the administration that are of higher alert in some capacity. So when you state that the Trump administration is focused just on similar priorities, that is not what has been messaged in the media pre-inauguration. That was not message. It doesn't continue to be the message with the undoing of so many prior executive orders by the administration. So I don't think that statement is accurate. I think that the messaging has been, we will go after you. If you have a final order, we're expanding who we suspect to be here without presence. We're expanding expedited removal. We're going to be searching for you in these places that, you know, individuals, humans should feel that they should be able to go to for safety. So that is absolutely not what is being messaged to the wider public. What has been messaged is the concept of mass deportation.
Where do you see your role now going forward?
I want to state that AI Justice has been working in the community, the immigrant community, for now nearly 30 years. So we just celebrated our 29th anniversary. We have many different programs, really just based on the messaging and the preview that we did receive, you know, post-election, pre-election on mass deportations. We did stand up a very big rapid response network with many community partners, legal organizations, in order to assist the immigrant community with their rights, their constitutional rights, as well as helping them understand what they may be eligible for in terms of pursuing immigration benefits, immigration relief. It could be that individuals need to have a consultation with a trusted attorney in order to understand going forward what they are eligible for in a legal process, and that they can continue forward with their lives here. But as far as our rapid response network is concerned, we are in the community doing a lot of Know Your Rights presentations, assisting with family preparedness, information related to what to do if your child can't be picked up from school, you know, whether a family member is deported and unable to attend to their children anymore, their homes, their businesses. I think we all know that there's so much in the community, the fabric of our community, many immigrant-owned businesses, individuals own property. So what to do in these instances when suddenly an individual is deported. So a lot of preparation and knowledge for the community, going out and being able to spread this information, as well as matching them, with attorneys that we have at Americans for Immigrant Justice to assist them through the process that they are legally entitled to do and pursue in order to obtain legal status.
We'll be right back after the break.